So when I was 13, I kind of made this step where I was like, okay, I know all this stuff, and they're saying that these people at church saying that if I know all this, I should make a decision. So I thought, right, I'm going to go for it. And it was a very kind of gradual process where I started learning more and started experiencing God in my life, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So I became a Christian. I stopped denying God to my friends. I stopped saying that all this stuff was rubbish. We actually used to be made to sing songs, sing Christian songs in our school, until a certain point when they said, actually, you don't need to do that anymore because it's oppressive and you just don't need to do that. But I used to always say, yeah, that's just rubbish. But then when I started thinking it wasn't, then I started saying to people, well, actually, I think this might be true. My best friend Nathan, he was really shook up by, well, when we were 16, a guy in our school committed suicide. He left a note saying that basically there was nothing left for him in the world. He'd kind of experienced everything there was to experience, he felt, and that he wanted to see what was next. And that really shook up the whole school really badly, because a lot of people knew him well. My friend Nathan knew him, and he was pretty shocked by that, and he started listening to me a bit more and saying, like, so what is all this about? Because I'm going to die, and what's going to happen then? So he started coming to church, started listening to me, started listening to people at church, and he decided later on to become a Christian as well. So I decided that I wanted to start living with God. What's that like? Well, it's difficult for me to sort of quantitatively define, but basically it's amazing. It's wonderful, it's exciting. Sometimes it's incredibly challenging in a really difficult way. It's life-changing. I certainly feel that I've changed, not like overnight, be like, whoa. But things have really turned around. The things I was ashamed of that I'd done when I was younger, the things that I've done recently that I'm ashamed of, those things, what it says in the Bible about, it says a lot in the Bible, and it says a lot about human nature, and a lot of those things it says about human nature I knew to be true because of my own heart, and that really, as I've grown up and done more things wrong as a Christian, I've seen that I've needed God to help me with all this stuff that, if I wouldn't want any of you guys to know about, wouldn't want to talk about, wouldn't want to have projected on the screen there or something, I would have, because for some reason I'm ashamed of it. And you might say that, I've learned to be ashamed of it through my values, but I don't know. So, I can't read that. So, as I've grown up, I've learned loads more about science and history, and I've learned more about tackling my faith objectively and about the Bible and what it means. When I was younger, I maybe was just like willing to not think about things too much, but just go with it. But based on my objective view of the Bible, its historical accuracy, its correlation with things about science, about myself, that's the basis, a part of my faith, part of my justifications, my reasoning behind my faith, and all the subjective experiences I have with God also kind of in some way supplement that. So I've gone through kind of lots of ups and downs in these years, and actually living with God, sometimes it's fantastic. You can feel like you're praying, you're experiencing God in a physical way, and your body's just like rushing with serotonin and dopamine, and you're like, woohoo. And that's great, but it's not always just like that. Actually, it's been incredibly hard in a lot of cases for me, and it is for Christians. I mean, we're not just impervious when we're Christians. We're not denying that things go wrong in the world. And as someone was saying, life is fun. Sometimes life is really fun. Actually, a lot of the times life can be really difficult and depressing. One of the things that's really hard about being a Christian is knowing the truth, but loving people who don't know the truth and the implications of that. When I was just before I left school, I had a really good friend at school. He was actually a teacher. We were really close. He was the head of IT, and I'm a computer geek, so we got on really well. He encouraged me a lot during my sort of teenage years to strive on with my work and to do what I'm doing now, do computer science, and he was a really big influence on me. And I saw him a couple of weeks, probably about 2 weeks, no, maybe less than that, sometime in the week before I left to go to university, and we were like, so I'll come back in December and tell you what it was like, and we'll chat more then. But 2 weeks after I came to university, he died in a motorbike accident. He was late 40s. He had a bike, and just there was an accident, and he was in intensive care for a day, and then just died. And I don't really know what he thought about God. One time we were just chatting, and he said to me, "Why do you smile all the time?" And if anyone knows me, apparently I smile quite a lot.